So Dana Margolin.
Dana Margolin.
Dana, I was going to say, Dana Margolin. Songwriter, guitarist, lead singer of Porridge Radio. You're in a band. They're very unpopular these days. I don't mean, but the idea of being in a band is not a very particular, most people are much happier to hunker down with their laptop and stuff. How does it, and you've been together for more than 10 years.
We have, so we've just released our last ever EP and announced the end of the band.
Oh no!
That was on Friday, we released that, so.
Okay. Bloody hell. So, are you going to go solo?
I haven't made plans for what I'm doing next. I'm going to breathe out.
Okay.
Maybe breathe in again.
Okay, but so is the tour still happening?
Yeah, we're touring till the end of August, really. We'll be playing shows.
Okay, so for anybody watching this on March the 21st in Lisbon, Porridge Radio are playing at LAV Sala 2, Deutsch. What time are you on stage?
We are, I don't know.
Late-ish.
Probably 9 p.m.-ish.
Okay.
Evening.
Excellent. Tell me about playing festivals. Do you enjoy it? Because it's a very different vibe to playing a gig, right?
Yeah, I love festivals. I think it's completely different because you're not playing for your own, it's not just your own audience. You're playing for people who have come to a festival, not people who have necessarily come just to see your band. But the flip side of that is that people are really open-hearted at festivals, and they're really open to finding new things, taking things in, having fun, engaging with music, dedicating that whole time to being there in that space. I think sometimes shows are very different vibes because at our headline shows, people are very attentive and they're all there to kind of almost attend the religious ceremony of the show. Whereas a festival has a completely different energy, but I love them.
Best and worst experiences at festivals?
It's very confusing, because I really think that for me, a really good experience is one. What am I trying to say? We played at Paredes da Cora in Portugal a few years ago, and for me that was one of the best festivals we'd ever played because there was so much energy from the crowd. And our shows in Portugal actually have always been, and in Italy as well, have always felt incredibly powerful and exciting and fun because of the energy that comes from the audience. Yeah. That's always amazing. I don't know if I've had a worse experience. The worst experience is when you're on tour and you are just going from festival to festival. In 2022, we played about 3 festivals every weekend for about 3 or 4 months, and at the end of it, just from every single week, you travel, you play a few shows, you come back home for about 2-3 days, you do some laundry, you maybe buy a couple of vegetables, and then you go on tour again. And it was so relentless that by the end of that I was completely exhausted. But the festivals themselves have always been amazing, and you're well looked after at festivals, especially in Europe.
It's interesting because I just spoke to Clapto, and he said that he's also really into the catering at festivals, and he really appreciates it when they make an effort.
The catering is amazing, yeah.
And he said that the worst food is UK festivals, and I was like, surely not! How can you say that?
Well, UK festivals just are the least they're the least generous, they're the least giving. You don't really get much, unless you're a big headliner, they don't treat you that well. Whereas you go everywhere we've ever played around Europe, they feed you well, you get a nice green room, you get a place to stay for the night. In the UK, they don't do that. It's a very different culture.
Oh, really? They don't even give you a place to stay?
No. You're expected
you just have to leg it back home after. Which I guess in Brighton is not so hard because most of the big festivals are down south. But if you're playing in Glasgow or something like that, that would be a nightmare, right?
Yeah, actually we once played a festival in Scotland and we had to stay the night there, and they'd given us, these nice big bell tents to stay in, but they'd only given us really thin blankets and kind of dodgy blow up mattresses, and it was freezing, and it was at 5 a.m. We had to leave the next day. Oh, that may be the worst one.
There we go.
We were all freezing all night in these tents that they'd given us, but they were like horrible bare duvets that were really, really thin, and it's Scotland, it's nighttime, freezing cold, and about 5 a.m. we had to get up to fly to Hungary on no sleep for a show that night. That was kind of the relentless nature of that year.
That sounds fairly intense. I mean, also pulling, when you've had a shit night, pulling yourself together is just not very easy, right?
Yeah. Oh, and then all the flights, I think one of our flights was delayed, so we ended up
perfect,
sleeping on the floor on the connection. That was quite a difficult one.
What do you think of the way that festivals are changing? Because, the crowds are I'm shocked by the age range of crowds these days. It's like from 6 to 60, whereas they used to be purely for the young, as it were, in inverted commas. Does that make a difference to you? I would imagine in some ways it would be favourable to a band like Porridge Radio, because you've got that kind of indie rocky sound that, if people are exposed to it, love it, right? But they're not necessarily going to get exposed to it because you don't get huge amounts of radio play. Is that a fair summation?
Do people listen to the radio? Is that?
Well, online radio, yeah.
I listen to the radio.
Talk radio.
It's like the radio, but I don't know if that's how people find music anymore, really.
No, streaming, yeah.
And maybe that does, but I love I don't really mind who is coming to our shows and the ages. I love that you have a broad range of ages.
Yeah. But I think probably one of the strange things for artists is that there's so much tech at festivals these days that you're kind of competing with AI and virtual realities and stuff like that. Does that bother you at all, or you just get on with the job?
What do you mean by I don't know if I've ever noticed AI.
Well, they tend to have it's certainly coming is the kind of virtual reality experiences and stuff like that, kind of sideshows. I don't know, it just struck me that a typical visitor to a festival now is faced with a much broader choice than they were 10 years ago. In terms of what they're going, there might be 4 stages plus a whole bunch of tech-based stuff around the place. So they're not necessarily going just for the music.
Do you know what? I've never seen anything like that.
Okay. Maybe it only exists in my head.
Maybe. Who's to say? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe because I'm in a band, I just see bands and I see stages and I see.
Yeah.
I do think being in a band is very different to making music on your own. Just to go back to what you were asking at the beginning, It's a very different. Like creatively, and when you're performing, it's a very different experience to performing on your own, because you're all holding each other together, and you have to be completely connected in flow for the show to go well.
Yeah.
And I find that extremely exciting. I think there's so much potential in that, and you can create so much art out of bringing people together, out of just bringing ideas together, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah. And there's always that kind of slightly magical element as well, is when everything really is working together, the sum total is greater than the parts that have created it, right? There's like an extra something somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were growing up, who were your musical heroes? Your biggest influences?
As a child, I was obsessed with Karen Carpenter. I was I was really, really obsessed. I also used to listen to a lot of compilation albums, best love songs of the 50s, so that was really key. But then as I kind of became a teenager and started getting obsessed with music, then it was, at the beginning it was, dad rock bands, Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, and then it became Radiohead, and it turned into just indie bands from there. Yeah.
It's funny, I don't know about you, but I've found myself revisiting stuff I used to listen to as a teenager, and absolutely, stuff like Steely Dan, I just can't believe how brilliant that band is. It's just like, what? And this was produced in the late 70s,
Yeah, there's great stuff forever.
Yeah. Do you like Steely Dan?
Never listened to Steely Dan.
Bloody hell, listen to Asia, AJA. It's just astonishing. A really, really amazing record. And sophisticated in kind of all the right ways.
Okay.
So, in terms of the difference between Clouds in the Sky, you like long LP titles, don't you? Mm-hmm. Clouds in the Sky, they will always be there for me. What would you say the main differences between it and Water Slide?
Sonically?
Or maybe the process, or
Clouds in the Sky was recorded mainly live. It's pretty much all of it, the whole album. We went into the studio having spent about 9 months arranging and rehearsing, and we did about 3 or 4 takes of every song, and most of the album is the first or second take that we did.
Whoa, okay. So there's a lot of raw energy in there.
Yeah. And that's the first time we've ever done something like that. And on the previous records, we tracked everything separately, and a lot of the mixing was done afterwards. Whereas with this, it was, you make it sound good going in, and then you tweak things, you maybe overdub little pieces here and there. There are mix changes, and a lot of time and energy goes into listening to it and making it sound good. But a lot of that happened on the way in, and it was much more about getting really, really tight, getting really, really obsessed with these songs and locking in completely, going into one space in Frome, the studio in Somerset, and just spending a few weeks there solidly working on this record, coming out of it, having a few days to go back in and mix, and then call it a day. Whereas other albums we've done, we've tracked everything separately. It's kind of missed that raw energy. It's missed the feeling of us making something all together live in a room and doing it within this small space of time.
Are there any producers that you would really like to work with?
Well, we worked with Don Monks for that one, and I feel like he taught me so much about trusting our instincts and knowing what we're doing and capturing a very fresh emotion. And that I really loved about working with him, and in a way it's made me kind of step back and think, actually, I don't know necessarily who I'd work with next, but I'm very inspired by working with him.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking, I mean, because do you know a guy called Rick Beato, an American guy? And he started a thing, what makes this song great? He's a brilliant producer stroke musician, and he just takes, say, Tears for Fears, or, classic, huge hits, and just takes them apart and says, okay, so this is doing that, and this is a modal, blah, 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 etc. So you're getting a really kind of forensic view of a song, which is not the way that most people react to them. And it's incredibly interesting, and I've completely forgotten why I was telling you that. But he also interviews quite a lot of producers. And it's astonishing how many of them are amazing musicians in their own right. I think it's almost a prerequisite for a great producer to be a pretty handy musician, right?
Often, yes. But sometimes that's not really what you're looking for when you're recording with a producer.
They might be interfering too much.
I think it's there's something to do with ego and the way that people bring their egos into projects. And I think it really depends on the kind of artist you are, and the kind of record you're making will really change the kind of producer that you're looking for and the kind of thing that you need from the process. And sometimes it's been really useful having people come in knowing, having ideas about how things should sound, but not wanting to change the thing that you've made. But I do think, a lot of producers can play instruments.
Absolutely. And also having a big ego in the confines of a studio could be quite poisonous, right? It's a very intense place, right? Being in studios. And I can imagine that could cause as many problems as it might solve, sort of thing. Going back to something you said earlier about kind of the horrors of the road or whatever, how do you stay happy and healthy when you're touring? How will you stay happy and healthy between now and August?
I think taking enough breaks, saying no to things that you don't necessarily know if you want to do. Eating well, making sure that meals are planned, making sure you get enough sleep. All these things, sometimes you don't have any control over them, but I've found that when I book things, if I book them, when we're booking shows, if we're very careful about what we say yes to, making sure that, you know, we will have enough time to sleep, enough time to eat properly, that all makes a big difference. And a lot of the time when you're touring, people don't really think about, like the people who are involved in booking things don't ever think like, oh, they'll have been on the road for a while, they will have been traveling all day, they might want to eat something before they load in, whatever it is. Often you just have to remember to do those things for yourself and to plan ahead and to set things up with people who will look after you.
And I would imagine that your manager Josh is quite an ally in that, right? Does he kind of sort out, make sure that you have an agreeable as possible schedule, sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, he tries his best. I think everyone on our team tries their best.
Yeah. In terms of clubs, I don't know about Brighton. You're still living in Brighton, right?
No, I've lived in London for about 5 years. I actually grew up in London as well. I lived in Brighton when I was 20 to 25, and that was where the band started. That's where I went.
Yeah. Because you were inspired by the sea and the coast and stuff?
Is that why I lived in Brighton? No, but I did love the sea and the coast.
It says that on your wiki page.
I didn't write my Wikipedia page. You know what, my Wikipedia page also at one point said that I use they, them pronouns. But turns out people can write anything on your Wikipedia page, so.
It's a very strange thing. I mean, you can actually block editing, but most of them are just wide open. Anybody can just add anything in there. So as somebody who writes songs for a living, what inspires you? Is it everyday life, or is it special things, or?
It's everyday life and special things. It's like it's finding wonder in everything and reading books and paying attention and talking to friends and looking around. Everywhere and everything is an inspiration.
So you're mainly writing from the sort of point of view of an observer of life.
And a partaker.
Yeah, of course. One would hope. Yeah. Okay. Final thing. Message for your Portuguese fans.
That I love them. Portuguese fans, I love you. You're great. Best crowds, best shows we've played.
Brilliant. Are there tickets left in case anybody?
Yeah, there should be.
Yeah. Okay.
So please do come.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dana. It's a really nice chat.
Talk to you. Thank you so much. Cool. Have a good day.